Tropical cyclones are powerful, rotating storms that form over warm ocean waters and pose serious hazards to both developed and developing countries. Today, we'll explore the dangers they bring, their devastating impacts, and how countries like Bangladesh and the USA prepare for them, both well and poorly. Let's begin with the hazards. Tropical cyclones bring four major threats. First, storm surges. These are sudden rises in sea level caused by the intense winds pushing seawater onto land, often flooding coastal areas. Second, strong winds, with speeds often exceeding 120 kilometers per hour. These winds can destroy homes, uproot trees, and bring down power lines. Third, heavy rainfall. This leads to widespread flooding, damaging buildings and infrastructure. And finally, landslides, especially in hilly regions, triggered when the ground becomes saturated and collapses. Now let's compare how a developing country, Bangladesh, and a developed one, the USA, have prepared for and responded to tropical cyclones. Bangladesh, struck by Cyclone Amphan in 2020, has made significant efforts to protect its population. Good preparations include 1. Forecasting using satellite technology and issuing warnings via radio and TV. 2. Evacuation strategies such as moving people to cyclone shelters. 3. Surge defences like embankments to prevent flooding. However, there were some weaknesses. 1. Not everyone had access to warnings due to lack of technology. 2. Some cyclone shelters were overcrowded or too far away. 3. Emergency services were often slow and lacked resources. The impacts of Cyclone Amphan in Bangladesh were severe. 1. Over 100 people lost their lives. 2. More than 2.5 million people were evacuated, with damage costing over £10 billion. 3. Coastal regions like Satkhira and Khulna were heavily flooded, with farmland and homes destroyed. Now let's look at the USA, which faced Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Effective preparations included 1. Advanced satellite tracking that predicted Katrina's path. 2. Warnings issued early enough for most to evacuate. 3. Storm surge defences, such as levees, although these ultimately failed. Poor preparations included 1. Many low-income and elderly residents could not evacuate due to lack of transport or health issues. 2. The Superdome shelter in New Orleans was overcrowded and lacked supplies. 3. The levees were poorly maintained, and when they collapsed, 80% of the city flooded. The impacts were catastrophic. 1. 1,833 people died. 2. Economic losses reached over $108 billion. 3. Entire neighbourhoods, especially those below sea level, like the lower 9th Ward, were devastated. Let us practice a GCSE 8-mark exam question on this topic. Remember to always use the Peel method. Point, evidence, explanation, link. Here's a sample Peel paragraph for the question. Assess the effectiveness of methods used to respond to a tropical cyclone in a named developing country. If the question asks you to assess, you should rank the responses in order of significance. Point. The most effective method of response to Cyclone Amphan in Bangladesh was the use of cyclone shelters. Evidence. Millions of people were evacuated to over 12,000 shelters before the storm hit. Explanation. This action saved thousands of lives, as these shelters were built on raised ground and provided safety from storm surges and strong winds. Link. This shows that evacuation strategies can be highly effective in reducing death tolls, especially when supported by accurate forecasting. Apply this strategy to your other paragraphs. If the question asks you to evaluate, you need to weigh both strengths and weaknesses of different methods and finish with a clear judgment. Example. Evaluate the effectiveness of the response to a tropical cyclone in a named developed country. Try starting with, one effective method of response to Hurricane Katrina was. Here's a sample Peel paragraph for an evaluate question. Point. One effective response to Hurricane Katrina was satellite tracking and early warning. Evidence. Authorities predicted the storm's path and issued evacuation orders. Explanation. This helped many residents leave before the hurricane struck, saving lives. However, the response was weakened by poor communication and a lack of support for vulnerable groups. Link. While technology was strong, the failure to assist those who couldn't evacuate reduced the overall effectiveness. Apply this strategy to your other paragraphs. In summary, tropical cyclones can bring immense damage, but strong preparation, like timely evacuations and proper forecasting, can save lives. However, without proper infrastructure and access to resources, even the best plans can fall short. So next time you're studying for your exam, remember, think hazards, impacts, and how preparation makes the difference, especially when you answer using the Peel method. Thanks for watching. Please like, follow, and share.